A new chairman of the IEBC has been nominated by the president. What that means is that it is now Parliament very quickly where it will sail through, and then bang, we have an IEBC back in full operation. However, people are questioning this choice, this process that ended up with the nomination of this man called Erastus Edung Ethekon, who hails from Turkana County. And people are complaining. And the complaints are very loud. People are saying this man has been put there to ensure that Ruto sails through in 2027. Or is it 2026? Hey. So, do they have a point? Or are Kenyans just making noise as usual? Actually, I thought we have waited so long for this IEBC. There are some people who have been doing press-ups and jogging on the spot for a long time, waiting just for the IEBC to be operational again. People like Wamunyoro, I'm sure you've heard the strategy. All MPs allied to him will resign en masse at the same time, which will trigger by-elections right across Murema. Okay? And then, it is said, they'll be able to finally kick out completely any trace of UDA in the Mount Kenya region. Some people say it could even trigger a general election. You know, when too many legislators resign, there is a possibility that a general election can be triggered. Yeah, because already there's a message there. Why are all those MPs resigning? When you speak about democracy, the real democracy, not these jokes we do here in Kenya, then such mass resignations raise enough eyebrows and can very easily trigger a general election. So I thought Kenyans were very eager. They wanted the IEBC in place like the day before yesterday. Let us start by acknowledging first that mischief from the executive in this instance is a given. Why? Because the executive and his handlers already know Kenyans are so desperate for an IEBC to be operational, they will probably take almost anything. Yeah? Any IEBC, because it has stopped very many things, including the planned referendum. I'm sure you've heard about that. The planned referendum to remove Ruto. And so, the executive is aware of all this. And let me give you a very bad example. It is like a man who wants to marry a second wife. And then, his timing. He waits until his first wife is facing all kinds of problems from her side of the family. Maybe her dear father is sick, etc., etc. And is the one providing all the financing. And then bang, he arrives with the second wife. Now you know, although the first wife will obviously be very upset about this, she will have to consider what is going on her side of the family and the problem she has to solve. And therefore the timing for that is perfect. If he had done this at another time, probably angeona moto, you'd have seen fire. I'm sure you get what I mean. So, mischief from Ruto's side, that's a given. Yeah, there's no debate there. But then let us dig deeper and try and get into the thinking of the executive in forcing a nominee. Now, I don't think I need to repeat that being chairman of IEBC is not a joke. Okay? Especially considering our kind of politics. The candidate in question, Erastus Edung Ethekon, has had no litigation experience. In other words, he has never appeared before a court to argue anything. Now, why is that important? Let me put it like this. Hawa ni wale lawyers wa documentation. And you know documentation, these days with technology, is just cut and paste. You get this agreement from somewhere, you copy the whole thing, you paste, you make 1 or 2 changes, you put in the names and the details, pop, done. Now obviously you cannot compare that kind of lawyer to a lawyer who is in court every day, thinking on their feet, trying to get their client off the hook, trying to get the best possible ruling for their client. There is no comparison there. And you know, fast thinking and having the law on your fingertips is crucial for this post. For example, you're called from Ranga County. There is a by-election going on there. Violence has broken out. And your people on the other end of the line are expecting a decision from you. What do they do next? They stop the election? Is that even legal? I'm sure you get my meaning. Let alone a presidential race. And so in other words, what is happening here? It may appear that somebody is setting us up for a failure. Somebody is setting us up for many things to go wrong so that they can do a Kalonzo Musyoka. Wapite katikati. Chaos going on, unapita katikati. Hey, that appears to be the very clear message here. But there is more. Brace yourselves for this one. There is no debate. It is very clear that the new IEBC Chairperson nominee, Bwana Erastus and Ethekon, is very close to the former Turkana County Governor, Josephat Nanok. And it doesn't end there. Bwana Josephat Nanok himself is very close, very tight with President William Samoei Ruto. Do you see what is happening here? And according to Miguna, Bwana Nanok and Bwana Ethekon are cousins. Now already it is bad enough, the connection between this nominee for the IEBC chair and State House. Already that is too suspicious, too fishy, even before we go into the cousin allegations. Okay? You know, during the reign of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, State House had a problem which Nanok helped them to solve, courtesy of his closeness to Ruto. Now, this is a very interesting political story. The Uhuru-Ruto government at that time needed to divert attention. By the way, look out for a video on that very hot topic right here on this channel. Yeah, I'll make sure I put a link below. And so, what they did was to stage manage some high-wire drama. Uhuru made a speech where he dressed down Bwana Nanok very seriously, in front of the media, in front of the people. And of course the media carried it and ran with it very fast. Anyway, these people are very close. In fact, we can say, never before in the history of our country has the nomination of a chairperson or a chairman of the electoral body been so closely linked to State House. That has never happened before. This is the first time. Okay, we can see that State House is in panic. Ruto is very unpopular right across the country. And therefore logic dictates that he tries to get everything possible he can get on his side ndo atoboe the next elections. And where does that leave the long-suffering people of Kenya? Nowhere. And we know very clearly that the word of the chairman of the IEBC is final. So much so that Fred Matiang'i can have a total of 15 million votes in a presidential election, and Kumekucha Chris can have a total of 2,000 votes. 2,000. Okay? His subscribers who are very close to him. Not even his relatives vote for him. But then, the chairman of the IEBC, Kumekucha Chris, is duly elected. He says that. Mambo kwisha. Kumekucha Chris is elected with 2,000 votes. And then you simply refuse to open the servers. And then you just manufacture some figures showing that Kumekucha Chris got 15,500,000 votes and therefore edged out Matiang'i. We know the game. We all saw it in 2022, didn't we? And so, the chairman of the IEBC is not a small thing. The nomination of such an individual who has clear links to the seat of power is tragic. The nomination of an individual who does not have any prior experience, who is not wired in any way to sit on this hot seat, is much more than tragic. However, take heart, my fellow countrymen. In fact, just ignore it. Oh yes, you heard me right. Why? Because the winds of change that are blowing over our nation are unstoppable. If you don't believe me, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please just relax. Give it a little time, not even a lot of time. You will see what will happen. Okay? Please allow me to leave it there. I am still very much in a celebratory mood, and regulars will remember that we extended the period of birthday gifting and the chance for some of us to win the super golden pass to everything Kumekucha, past, present and future. You can see details on your screens right now. Please take full advantage of this extended window of opportunity. And those who have already responded, asanteni sana from the bottom of my heart. I wish there was a way I could communicate to you what you do when you support this channel in any way, the impact it has. I wish there was a way I could explain to you slowly, in full detail. But alas, I can't. Yeah, I'm sure you understand my hands are tied. I have to be very careful about every piece of information I give out about myself and about how I operate. But the Most High sees, and I'm sure He'll bless you abundantly for every single support, every single sacrifice many of you have made towards this channel, and by extension towards what we've been doing here for a better Kenya. A genuine fight for a better Kenya is not about being famous. That is why we never gloat when we're right. It is about being focused, and it is about being consistent, and it is about being selfless. Anyway, let me not get carried away. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.